What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another show on the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. My name is Roberto Ramirez, aka Philly Rob. You already know what it is. Thank you for tuning again to another great show that we have for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL Monday Night Football doubleheader that happened last night. We're going to talk a little bit about baseball. Playoff starts today. We're going to talk a little bit about Gonzaga joining the Pac-12. But first, very important, don't forget, click like, share, donate, leave a comment. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear if I suck at this show, if I'm good at this show. I need your feedback. I need you guys to be a part of this show, baby. But I can't do it without you guys, man. I need you guys to click like, click subscribe, click on that little bell icon so you won't ever miss an episode. We got other folks putting fire podcasts in this podcast network called GSMC, Golden State Media Concepts. Like I said, my name is Roberto Ramirez. Let's get into it for the first topic of today's show. We're going to talk about last night's game. Oh my God, the stinker of a game. Titans beat Miami in Miami. A lot of this blame falls on Coach Mike McDaniel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But man, I understand that, you're out of Tua. And without Tua in that lineup, everything changes. You know what I mean? But hey, you are a head coach in the National Football League. And you got Tyreek Hill. You got to make something happen, my man. You know what I mean? I'm going to blow you guys away with a few stats that I found about Miami, but definitely Mike McDaniels, man. I mean, he's coming from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, but he hasn't really shown that he can do a lot with little. Like Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, he's shown before that he's the type of coach that can do a lot with a little bit. I don't think McDaniels is capable of doing that, and he's shown that during this season. You know what I mean? And the perfect example is not having Tua on that lineup. When you have Tua on that lineup, a lot of pre-snap movement, they depend on that. That's how they understand what the defense is trying to bring against that offensive squad of Miami, is by having a lot of movement pre-snap. You know what I mean? That's how they function. And without Tua, it's kind of hard to do that. This takes practice. It takes getting timing of players done, your own timing when calling for the movement in the backfield. It takes time. So you can kind of tell, like, that is out of the equation. But hey, you got Tyreek Hill, and I think Tyreek Hill might start to regret leaving Kansas City. I understand he wanted to get paid. I understand all of that. I get it. Who doesn't want to be in Miami? You know what I mean? Miami's such a great town. I heard a lot of things about a lot of, we all saw the Tyreek Hill video getting arrested. Heard that there's a lot of cops who target athletes over there in South Beach. I don't know how real is that. Let a comment know. Let me know what you heard about this situation. But a lot of Caleb, what's his name? He just joined the 76ers. I'll get back to that. But some players that actually played in Miami have opted to leave Miami just because of that. Caleb Martin, that's who I was looking for. Caleb Martin left Miami, apparently, because he's been harassed by cops way too many times. Even took a pay cut to come to the 76ers, which is kind of baffling. It kind of baffles me a little bit. But coming back to the subject of football, like I said, Tyreek Hill, that's a big weapon. You need to find a way to find him because he's a guy who can create space with the right schemes and the right route, he will be open. You know what I mean? So I don't know why they're not really targeting him as much as they should. But, you know, and also when you depend so much on pre-snap movement, that makes you somewhat of a finesse team. You know what I mean? When you do a lot of motion, a lot of misdirection, you depend on that. And those offensive schemes are gone now. You know what I mean? It's not Tyler Huntley's fault. You know what I mean? He was basically the leading rusher for the game in the third quarter for Miami. That's not good. If you can't run the ball, that's not good. Can't win games like that when you depend a lot on pre-snap movement. These are the upcoming games for Miami. They're gonna have it seems and it feels like the season is over for them, but they're going to New England. They're going to play at the Pats. After that, at Indianapolis versus the Arizona Cardinals, and then at Bills, Buffalo Bills. I can see them going 1-3, maybe 0-4. That's a really tough set of games coming up for them. You know what I mean? And you can say all you want about New England, but I think New England can defeat this team, especially at home. So that's going to be a little bit difficult for them. They can't run. Like I said, Miami can't run the ball, and they can't stop the run. 180 yards total. Lowest total set of yards since 2020. Last in the National Football Leagues in points scored per game with 7.5. And they're next to last with total yards per game on 194. Next to last as well in total yards passing per game with 109. For Tennessee, they lost Will Levis to injury, left the game, never came back, and the Titans went with Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? Under center, and they look a lot better, and I will behoove them to continue with Mason Rudolph just to see what they have in him. You never really know. You know what I mean? This might be Geno Smith 2.0 with Mason Rudolph. You never know. Will Levis had looked that bad. He's, first of all, Mason Rudolph did not mess this game up for the Titans. Did not make the critical mistakes that Levis has been making since week one. I put a lot of stock in Will Levis, and he's been very disappointing, to say the least. He doesn't really turn over the ball. I'm talking about Mason Rudolph. He's looked calm under center. Doesn't look lost. And he seems to know what he's doing. They seem to be a lot more in control whenever he's under center. So no big mistakes done by Mason Rudolph. Tennessee doesn't need to rush him back. In fact, for the rest of the game, Will Levis, they took him to the tent. He came out. He was on the sideline with the helmet on his hand. The coaching staff literally decided not to bring him back. That's the kind of season he's having. That's pretty bad stuff. You know what I mean? I think Levis was healthy enough to come back in the game, and literally the coaching staff said, nah, we're good. We're going to go with Mason and see what he got. It could be a turning point into the season for the Tennessee Titans, but I just don't see it happening. You know what I mean? Like I said, the coaching staff chose Mason Rudolph over Will Levis. Let me know what you guys think about this. Something that I want to point out that I thought it was very important. This coaching staff in Tennessee did not draft Will Levis. They have no attachment to Will Levis. You know what I mean? And you can tell after this, during the game, like, he was on the sidelines with the helmet in his hand. just waiting to get back in the game, and they never called this number. Is this the end of Will Levis? Will Will Levis end up in Miami? I don't think so. I don't even think he'll get another starting job opportunity anywhere else. I think I wouldn't say he's done. I wouldn't say he's cooked. But, man, he's getting close. He's in that medium rare situation. He got a couple burns outside. It looks like he's cooked from the outside. He's still pretty raw inside. Let's see what happens. I hope that he can get it together. Maybe they bench him for a few games. He comes back and becomes a Will Levis that we known from last year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like. Share with your friends. Let them know about this GSMC Dead Ball podcast powered by the GSMC Podcast Network. For my next segment, we will be talking about the Seahawks at Lions. That was a really good game. That was a hell of a game. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast. This is the second segment of the show, and this show is powered by the GSMC Podcast Network. Don't forget Golden State Media Concepts. Shout out to everybody on the team. You already know what it is. And we're going to talk about the second game of last night, Monday night doubleheader. Please don't forget, subscribe. Leave a like. Show your love. You know what I mean? Let us know how you guys feel. This show is all about you. We love hearing your thoughts. We love hearing your questions, your opinions as we dive into the latest sports action. Whether you got a burning question, whether you want to give your favorite player a shout out. Your voice needs to be heard and add so much to the conversation. And here is the best way to make sure you're heard. If you see that little $sign, click on it. You'll see that super chat. Leave that comment in there. I will read it out loud in the show. I want to know what you guys have to say, what you guys have to think. If you really want your message to stand out, use that super chat feature. Just click on that $sign at the bottom of the chat box. Send in your message. Surefire way to get our attention. I'll be reading and replying your super chats in the next show, baby. Not only helps the show, it helps us keep going strong. Your support means the world to us. And it's what allows us to bring you this comment that you show some love to week after week. We're building something special, and we couldn't do it without you guys. Jump in the conversation. Send those super chats. Let's make sure that this show is better together. And if you'd rather do it on a website, we got gsmcsport.net. Click on there. You can tip. You can leave a comment. You can donate. You can check out our other shows. We're so grateful to have you here with us. We love you guys. You already know what it is. Coming back to Monday Night Football. Seattle Seahawks going to Detroit. Detroit dressed in black and ready to roll. They look really good. My goodness, this was the Jeff Goff game. 18 for 18. I mean, that was just a perfect passing day for him. 292 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Caught a touchdown for Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is, you know what I mean, not like the Philly special, but I mean, you know, he caught it. You know what I mean? My respect to Jared Goff. My goodness, man, this is the Goff game that Detroit has been waiting for. He's been known to be somewhat of a game manager. I don't think he is. I think he's way too talented to be called a game manager. But my goodness, man, no silly mistakes. He's been looking a little bit iffy this year. You know what I mean? A lot of people thought he'll do a lot better this season, but I guess not. This game took that doubt that people had about him off the table. He played great. That was a really good, perfect execution by the Lions. And also, if he threw 18 times in this game, you know what that means. They ran the ball. And they ran the ball very well. They ran the ball down the Seahawks' throat during the whole game. And they used the play action to perfection. Seattle, I mean, I don't know what to say about them. Seattle's still a very tough team. You know what I mean? It's just they just got outclassed by the Lions. They're still a very tough team to beat regardless. You know what I mean? They scored 29. You know what I mean? That's up there. I mean, that should be enough for them to win. But that defense did not show up last night. They had no way to stop the run, let alone Jeff Goff. I mean, say what you want, but this looked like it was completely different. This game right here looked like it was 2 completely different sports. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the game between Miami and Tennessee and the second game of the night, Seahawks at Lions. This was a really good game. Still, the Lions showing why they're the class of the NFC. They can run the ball, and if Goff can continue to play like this, continue to pick apart defenses, being this accurate, I don't see any other team in the NFC giving them a tough time getting for Detroit to get to the Super Bowl. I thought the Eagles might be the class of the NFC. I'm completely wrong. They cannot defend to save their lives, and Hurts cannot take care of the ball. Like I said, if Goff continue to play like this, they have a really good chance to make the Super Bowl. And I think they could have beat the 49ers last year. They have a chance this year, and the 49ers are looking good. You know what I mean? But Detroit, they can play, man. This is a team that's always ready, and you will always get hustle, performance out of these players. Dan Campbell has this team ready to go week after week. Sam Laporta finally getting involved in the game. You know what I mean? He was very involved offensively for Detroit. Like I said, that Seattle defense just did not show up. They couldn't stop the run. They literally couldn't stop the run at all. It was kind of sad to watch, you know what I mean? But, you know, who do you guys think is the best team in the NFC? I understand that San Francisco, you know what I mean, they are the defending NFC title champs. Can Detroit win enough games to have that home game in the NFC title game? Let alone, another good question, can DC be better than Detroit? That's a really good question if you think about it. Right now, Jaden Daniel is playing lights out. So I think between Detroit and DC, who I think are 2 and 3 in the NFC, whoever gets the most out of their quarterback, as of now, it's been Daniel. DC has scored 80 points in their last 2 games. But after a performance like this by Goff, what do you guys think? Who do you think is the best second team in the NFC? You're going to have to prove it against the Niners. I think the Niners are the class of the NFC so far, but as of now, say what you want, but Washington is looking like they're the toughest team to defend. And Goff is looking like he's gotten it together. He's low-key figured it out. Seattle ain't no joke, but they didn't show up on the defensive side of the ball. They're still a really tough team and a well-coached team. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think is the number 2 best team in the NFC? Or do you guys think that the Lions are the best team in the NFC? I don't think they are. I think the Niners are still the class of the AFC, with the Eagles literally dropping out of nowhere. I know the Eagles are going through some injuries right now. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson. Those are integral parts of that offense. Mekhi Beckham. I think that the Eagles have a huge coaching disadvantage. That's why even if they are 100% healthy, they will always struggle to win games and have a really tough time because their coaching staff is not good enough. And I think that's plays to the hands of Detroit. I think Dan Campbell just hits everything where it needs to be hit. Calls the right plays, does the right thing, has his team ready to play. Let me know what you guys think. Who are your top 3 teams in the NFC? Leave a comment. Click on that super chat. Let me know what you guys think. I want to feature some people on this show coming up soon. You already know what it is. This is the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. In our next segment, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back, but in our next segment, I'm going to be talking about the National League Wild Card Series preview. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. This is the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast. My name is Roberto Ramirez. Don't forget, you can follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name is Roberto Ramirez, a.k.a. Philly Rob. Don't let the Philly in my name fool you. This is a national show. And talking about national things, we will be talking about the National League Wild Card Series preview. With that preview, the Mets will play the Brewers. But hey, do not forget, like, subscribe, Show your love. Let us know what you think. I want to hear some comments. I want to read. I want to go through all those comments. I want to see the hate. I want to see the good things. I want to hear if you guys love this show or not. Let me know what you guys think. Show your love. Click on that super chat. Let me get your boys involved. I want people on this show to come in, donate, keeps the channel strong, keeps us motivated to give you the content you want coming week to week, every single day, Monday through Friday. You already know what it is. Don't forget about that. Click on that super chat, like, share, subscribe. Click on the little bell icon so you won't miss another episode of the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast, powered by the GSMC Podcast Network. We have so many podcasts. You want to check us out on our channel on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We got a great group of folks that work hard, get it done, and talk about sports all day long. Let's go back to the subject. National League Wild Card Series. Mets at Brewers. According to Vegas, the Mets are 114 plus, and Brewers are at a minus 134 to win the series. The winner faces the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLDS, National League Division Series. Like I said, according to Vegas, the Mets are at a plus 114. The Brewers at a minus 134 to win the series. Milwaukee won the regular season series 5-1. Edwin Diaz is the big story for this series. He pitched 66 pitches in one day, coming off a doubleheader. That's up there. I don't think he's going to be available for the first game today. I don't think he's going to be available for Wednesday. That is a huge hit for that bullpen, and the New York Mets bullpen hasn't been, the best, to say, you know what I mean. I expect the pitching from Milwaukee to shut down the Mets bats, especially when they play at home. You're coming off a double header. After playing 160 games, you played 2 more to end the season. 2 long games. They got to split the series against that doubleheader against the Braves. Should be checked out for possible collusion, but that's on Arizona. Never leave it to the hands of another team to make the playoffs. They split that series, Arizona out of the playoffs. Both reigning National and American League champs are out of the playoffs for this 2024 playoff series. Very interesting stuff right there. This is the first ever playoff meeting between both teams. Milwaukee has lost 9 of their last 10 playoff games, but have been on a hot streak to end this 2024 regular season, winning 12 out of 14 games to end the season. They're going to score just enough to hand the ball to the bullpen. Hader has been pretty good for them this season. He hasn't been great, but he's been pretty good for them. You know what I mean? I think the Brewers are going to face the Philadelphia Phillies in the next divisional round. They're going to need everything they can, and they're going to try to sweep the Mets. I think that's the best way to take care of this team, because if this series goes to three games, they go to New York, the Mets, the magic of the season with the OMG thing going on, they might bring Grimace. They might get him out of some McDonald's in Queens. So somebody might dress up as Grimace. They might wear that purple. That's been good for them this season. By the way, I hate the Mets, but that's a really clean uniform. I ain't gonna lie. I like that gray and purple. It looks real nice. That's a hell of a uniform right there. But I just think the pitching from Milwaukee is just really good. I know their hitting has not been out of this world, but I think they have enough to beat the Mets, but they have to sweep them at home. If this series goes to New York, I am telling you, New York, the fans, the public, everybody is going to be on top of them. It might be a tough place for Milwaukee to play at. I don't see them winning a game in New York, but I do have Milwaukee sweeping the Mets 2-0 and winning this series and moving on to the next round. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win this series? Do you give the Mets a chance? I understand that the Mets been low-key red hot. They've been playing really good baseball lately. I just, you finish the season with a doubleheader. One of the most important guys in your bullpen threw 66 pitches. That's basically almost a full game. That can equivalent to 4 innings pitched. 66 innings in a day where you played a doubleheader, where you had to take maybe a 4-hour flight to Milwaukee and play in a mid-afternoon game. I mean, I don't know about that. I seriously don't see the Mets pulling. I mean, I get it. Lindor, Paquito Lindor, Francisco Lindor. We call him Paquito in Puerto Rico. Paquito Lindor hasn't really. He's been great. He is a MVP candidate for this franchise, for this 2024 regular season. I just don't see anybody else stepping up offensively against this pitching staff, who's been pretty damn good for the Brewers. This is a really good, dangerous team. I just don't see them. I really don't see the Mets winning one game in Milwaukee. That's the tough thing. If they can win one game, they have a really legit chance to come home, finish the series. I think the Brewers take care of business at home. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win this series? This is wild. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. We're on TikTok, man. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter, X, GSMC Sports, GNC Sports Net, GSMC Sports Network. Don't forget, follow us everywhere on social media. We want to continue to have you guys involved. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Click on that super chat. Let me know what you guys think. Should I continue to talk baseball? I know this generation is not the biggest on baseball, but baseball with the time, you can go now to a game and get out of there in under 3 hours now. It's a quicker game. It's good for people who just don't have that attention span much needed to pay attention to the game. It's a much quicker game. Good offenses. This is the best time for baseball. I think the rules have helped. In the next segment, we'll talk about the American League, but now I want to talk a little bit about the Braves and the Padres. That's a really good team. The Padres have been red hot to finish the season. According to Vegas, the Braves are 100 plus 130, and the Padres are at 100 minus 150 for, I think, the Padres beat the Braves. The Braves have had way too many injuries. You know what I mean? This is the first time they face each other since 1998. That year, the Padres made it to the World Series. I don't think this Padres team is good enough to make it to the World Series, but I think they will face the Dodgers in the next round. You know what I mean? That pitching staff for the Padres, Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, you know what I mean? Michael King, who they got from the Yankees from that Juan Soto trade. And that San Diego bullpen, they're going to be the key for them to win the series. They're going to shut down that Braves offense. I know Ozuna has been low-key an MVP candidate this season, but after Ozuna, they don't have much of anything. Albies is out, Acuna is out, Strider is out, Austin Riley is out, and now Chris Sale has been experiencing back spasms. Let me know what you guys think about this series. There's not much to talk about, just way too many injuries in the Atlanta side. I think the Padres are going to come in and dominate and face the Dodgers in the NLDS. For the next segment, we'll be talking about the American League wild card. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. This is the GSMC That Ball Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. My name is Roberto Ramirez. They call me Philly Rob. Don't let the Philly in my name fool you. This is a national show. But hey, before we get to the next subject, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click on that little bell icon so you won't miss a episode of the GSMC That Ball Podcast. We got other great sports podcasts in this network. Like I said, click on that super chat button. Click on it. Put your money where your mouth is. You wanna be a part of this show? You want to show your love? You want to shout out to your favorite team, your favorite player? You want to suggest something for this show? You want to say that I suck? I'll say it live on TV. I don't care. Click on that super chat, baby. Let us know what you guys think of the show. We're dying to hear your thoughts. Same in the comment section. And also, we have a website, dmcsport.net. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We got you, baby. Now, talking about the American League. In the American League, we got the Royals at the Orioles. According to Vegas, the Royals are at a plus 144. The Orioles at a minus 172. The winner of this series faces the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. The Orioles, I have them sweeping this series. I think that the Orioles have way too much talent. I know they've been rumbling, stumbling their way to the finish line this season. Their bullpen has been an Achilles heel for them. You know what I mean? They DFA'd their closer in Craig Kimbrell, who's been absolutely horrible for them. He had a red-hot start for them, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. A player that was horrible for the Phillies in the NLCS last season. They also got Sir Anthony Dominguez in the Hayes trade. Sir Anthony has been literally a question mark. He has a lot of command issues, and that's a problem. That's a problem for the Orioles. But playing at home, I think, will be enough to trump those back of the bullpen issues that they've been experiencing. You know what I mean? I think they're going to win. They're going to go to the AL DS against the Yankees. Like I said, playing at home for the Orioles is everything. That fan base is going to be electric. You know how their fans is, and the bird bath and everything they have going on over there in Baltimore. Fans are going to show up. They're going to show up offensively. They're going to hit the ball. They're going to go on to the next round. Now, with the Kansas City Royals, I just don't see very much outside of Seth Lugo, who's been amazing and been lights out. He's a candidate for the AL Cy Young. And Salvi Perez, one of the best catchers in the game, but he's up there in age. And another AL MVP candidate in Bobby Witt Jr. Outside of that, I don't see enough depth for them to win this series with these three players who basically carry them for the whole season. Now, the other series here in the American League wild card is the Astros at the Detroit Tigers. The overachieving Detroit Tigers, thanks to an epic collapse by the Minnesota Twins. I thought the Twins had at least a playoff berth in the bag, and they just collapsed in the most epic fashion I've seen a team literally collapse. It reminds me of the 2007 Mets, literally just facing off the face of the earth. The Astros, according to Vegas, are a minus 180 to win this series, and the Detroit Tigers at a plus. The Astros are a plus 180. The Detroit Tigers are at a minus 200. The winner of the series faces Cleveland. Houston, leaving out Verlander out of the playoff roster. He's had somewhat of a forgettable season, to say the least. Very interesting. You know what I mean? This is the first time he's been left out of a playoff roster. You would think they will have a spot for him in the bullpen. Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think of the comments. Should the Houston Astros should they brought in Verlander even for just the bullpen? Maybe they told him, "Hey, we'll put you in the bullpen," and they decided, and he was like, "Nah, bro. Like, if I'm not starting, I want no parts of it." You know what I mean? It's quite impressive that they actually got in the playoffs with Verlander having that kind of season for them. The bullpen has been a question mark for Houston. And then on top of that, this might be the last year we might see Bregman with the Houston Astros. That's a very legit statement. I don't think they're going to sign him. I think he's going to get paid somewhere else. And for Detroit, outside of Screwball and Burling in center field, Javi Baez, he's been out for a while. He's not coming back. He's out for the season. I don't see much in this roster. I don't see enough firepower for them to expose that bullpen of Houston. Houston has really good and legit starting pitching. But their bullpen has been a problem and an issue for them. One of the reasons why they had such trouble making it to the postseason. Luckily, they played really good ball in the second half of the season. They made the playoff, got their little playoff berth. I don't really see Houston doing a lot of damage in the next round, but I think they will make the next round. I just think that they're a very poised team. They're a team that has a lot of experience. They've been there. They've done that. They've been through trials and tribulations, to say the least. You know what I mean? With 2 titles, hear my cough. 2 titles, you know what I mean, the last 8 years. Very interesting to see what they have going on this postseason. I think Bregman is going to have a really good series. And, of course, the real question is at second base for Houston. are they going to show up and hit? I think that they will hit enough. Outside of that, this is a very mid series. These are teams that took advantage of, the Texas Rangers stinking up the house. Houston came in, took advantage of the situation. Minnesota Twins stunk up the house. Detroit Lions came in, took care of the situation. Detroit Tigers, my bad, came in, took care of the situation. Who do you guys think? Who do you think is going to win this series? Do you think the Astros win this series? I think they will. But outside of that, I don't see Houston doing a lot of damage outside of this series. I seriously don't. For real, I'm not kidding. And I want to hear from you guys. Who do you guys think is going to win this Orioles series? I really like this Orioles team. For whatever reason, they haven't been playing very well. But I think this team is good. Like, really good. Like, dangerously good. I think they have a chance to make the World Series if that offensive lineup heats up, and they can take care of their bullpen issues. The issues at the back of the bullpen have been really bad for them. They traded one of the best guys in Estevez to the Phillies. I thought that was a huge mistake going all in for Kimbrel. He's not even in the team anymore. Very interesting stuff. For our next subject, our next segment, we'll talk a little bit about more teams moving around in college football. I want to hear your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We got more college football to talk about. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. My name is Roberto Ramirez, and you're watching the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, this is the last segment of the show. Forever grateful for you guys to make it to the very end of this show before I get back into it. Hey, don't forget, like, subscribe, share. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter/X. GSMC Sports Net. Don't forget about that. Like, subscribe. Click on that super chat button. Donate to the show. It keeps the show going strong. And if you want some more of this content, you got to provide me with some feedback, baby. You got to show me where your love is. Put your money where your mouth is, too. Show some love to this network, man. Donate. Keeps the channel going strong. Keeps us motivated. Keeps my team going. We got so many cool folks in this GSMC Dead Ball, in this GSMC Podcast Network. You guys are going to love our content, especially the content of this show. This is a national show. Don't let my name fool you. Roberto Ramirez, a.k.a. Philly Rob. Now, coming back to this very last segment, Gonzaga, and I don't think this is surprising at all. I think Gonzaga, it makes sense for Gonzaga. I wish instead of the Pac-12, they would have joined the Big 12. That would have made a lot more sense, in my opinion. But it's not bad. Nothing wrong with joining the Pac-12. And I think it brings some legit competition to the conference finally. You know what I mean? Apparently, they won't get the same share as the other teams, but it's very close. It's not this close yet, the amount of money that they will receive from the conference, leaving the West Coast Conference, going to the Pac-12. You know what I mean? But the Pac-12 is finally receiving a team that can compete for a national championship on the basketball side. They don't have a football program, but this is a really good first step. And finally, they have a conference of 8. They still have a conference of 7 on the football side, but that's a subject that we'll get into it a little bit further down in this segment. Like I said, this is a very legit team that has been on the very last 9 Sweet 16s. You can basically count them in for the Sweet 16 every single year. They are a top 10 basketball program in the nation. And they're expected to be ranked in the preseason as a top 10 team in this league. You can pretty much bet on them, on this team, on this basketball program to do a little, I won't say a little, to do a deep run during March Madness every single year. They recruit well. They coach well. Let's see what they can do. And they're finally part of a stronger conference. And look, no knock on the West Coast Conference, but yeah, the Pac-12 as of now is looking better than the West Coast Conference. What do you guys think? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you guys think right as of now, and I'll get into the teams that are part of the Pac-12, but as of right now, do you think the Pac-12 has a better roster of teams or the West Coast Conference does? I think the Pac-12 has a better roster of teams. Let me go through the roster of teams that they will have for 2026, which is the year that they need to be 8 teams for them to be recognized as a actual conference. Oregon State, Washington State, Utah State, Colorado State, Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and now Gonzaga, the only not state school in there. They should call it a West Coast State Conference instead of the Pac-12, because it's pretty much unrecognizable from what the Pac-12 was. I still think they're a more legit conference than the West Coast Conference. Now, this does not resolve the issue that they have. And when I'm talking about the Pac-12, this does not take care of the problem that, yeah, you have 8 teams in the conference, but you only have 7 football teams. And like I said on my show last week, this show, I think the best 2 options are Rice, and they need to go back to the bargaining table with Memphis. I think it makes all the sense in the world to have a Houston, Texas market in this conference. It will help with recruiting. It will help with so many other things. And I think it will benefit Rice, bring them back to the glory days of, you know what I mean, when they used to be a top legit team in college football. They used to be a powerhouse for a little bit, but they were always a top competition football program during their heyday. This might catapult them to maybe being a legit again in the eyes of many people in college football. But it also makes sense to go back to the bargaining table and just tell Memphis, hey man, we got a basketball program that's a powerhouse in the Pac-12. You guys should come over and bring your powerhouse of a basketball team to come compete. That's a good measuring stick for basketball. That will legit make them a pretty good basketball conference. You know what I mean? They can do a lot of damage. You got San Diego State, who made the national title game, 2 years ago? Last year, they made the Final Four. That's a really good and legit basketball program sponsored by Jordan, which is very important because Jordan, in the eyes of these kids, is, as a brand, is everything. It's going to help them recruit even more players. Now you got more competition coming into the league with Gonzaga joining the Pac-12 and hopefully Memphis, because Memphis has a really good basketball program. Say what you want. Hardaway is a really good head coach who hasn't really been able to do a lot of damage in March. But, I mean, remember, he's coming off coaching high school basketball. It's somewhat of a transition to going to college basketball. It's a lot more games. It's a lot more intensity. But he has something cooking over there in Memphis. And Memphis has a football team. They're not going to wow you, but they will make a bowl game. It makes the conference a little bit more legit if they come in and compete like they always do. Let me know what you guys think. Because I like that Houston market, and you bring in that Memphis market as well. It makes sense. And I know that Memphis, you know what I mean, talked about, oh no, we're going to reassure that, you know, we're staying with the American Athletic Conference. Money talks, my man. You got to sit down with the AD of that program and tell them, hey man, if you come in and join my conference, we could become somewhat of a powerhouse conference, get a really good TV deal, and split a lot of money. If you make this conference nine teams deep, that is pretty good, and it's a good way for the Pac-12 to be reborn. Lack of a better term. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But now, with Gonzaga leaving the West Coast Conference, these are the 8 teams that are left. Pepperdine, LMU, Portland, St. Mary's College, San Diego, University of San Francisco, University of Santa Clara, and Pacific. Ugh. That is the definition of bottom mid right there. I mean, every blue moon, St. Mary's will come in, do a little bit of damage in the tournament, but they're nowhere near what they were years ago. They haven't really been that really solid conference. Now, you know, they're going to be a direct lock every single year to make the tournament. The problem is, can they do any damage in March, basketball speaking? What is the Pac-12 going to do next? Are they going to pursue Sacramento State? Is Sacramento State moving over to the West Coast Conference to join that conference? I don't think that makes sense. That's basically a lateral move for Sacramento State. If I'm Sacramento State, I would join the Mountain West. It makes a lot more sense. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You made it to the end of this show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, show your love. Let us know what you think of this GSMC Dead Ball podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. A lot of acronyms here, man. You know what I mean? Let me know what you guys think. Love you guys for sticking to the end of the show. I'll have another show for you guys tomorrow. My name is Roberto Ramirez, a.k.a. Philly Rob. Don't let the Philly in my name fool you. We'll be back tomorrow with a lot more subjects. We'll talk about baseball. We'll talk about NFL rankings. I'm going to go through the comment section. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the GSMC That Ball Podcast Network. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Click on that super chat. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to